What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. Mr. Fitzgerald, how are we doing in Long Island today, sir?
I'm doing great today. We recently, we're not sponsored by Canopy Connect, but we recently adopted Canopy Connect just for technology purposes and being able to pull other people's policies. And I got to tell you, that piece of technology has been huge for me the last couple of months, and I'm getting in a better groove of getting people to click the link so all the deck pages flow right to me. And man, I've been having so much success with it. It's been one of my favorite tools so far. You use it too, Steve, right?
Well, I'm only about a week in. I tell you what, I wish I did it sooner. It's funny, I had the guy call me, and he was like, "Hey, Colin, I see you signed up with us. We'd like to tell you just help set up." I'm like, "I've already used it 5 times, man. We're off to the races." Super easy. Like you said, there's no sponsorship here. It's just a good tool. And what I think is interesting is that is a perfect example of technology where is it solving a problem, right?
Totally.
We can get caught right up in the shiny objects of like, this will work so well for my agency, it should work for yours. And then you download it or whatever, and it doesn't work. And like, people say it all the time, but I don't think it'd be repeated enough. Make sure that it's solving a problem, right? And for me, the problem was the customers and the prospects. When you say get the deck pages, they don't know where the hell it's going. Yeah, you know,
True.
They don't know what you're talking about. You just showed me a picture that you got of a policy or whatever it was, and it was half the page. But and it's been a good thing. So I'm glad you guys are finding success with it.
Yeah, it's just making the process of purchasing insurance way more efficient.
Yeah,
you know.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about mortgages, partner relationships, referral partners. This is an exciting episode for me today because it's the first local. We got Utica ganging up on the downstate region here. It's my first local guest and a good friend of mine. Ashley Paolozzi from Premium Mortgage is joining the show today, and she's a great referral partner of mine. We've known each other coming on probably about 5 years now, Ashley. Yeah. And, you know, you've been at different places, different stages. I've been at different places, different stages. And the relationship, referral relationship has stayed consistent. And I want to talk about that because the point of this episode, folks, I think this is, Shawn, correct me if I'm not, I think this is the first non-insurance guest we've had on.
It is, yeah.
After 20 episodes. But the point of this episode is really just to dive deep into that referral relationship, how the person may be listening to this that doesn't have many referral partners or any at all. How can they start that conversation? Because Ashley and I have a good relationship, and we've got a good thing going where we, help our clients out. So I look forward to diving into that. But Ashley, up in here in Utica, New York today, it's a beautiful rainy day. But besides that, how are you doing?
Good. Excited to be on. Thanks.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. Why don't you introduce yourself to those people? Tell us a little bit about what you do if you want to dive into Premium, and then we can talk about the nuts and bolts of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work at Premium Mortgage. We are an independent mortgage company. So what that means is we are your one-stop mortgage shop. So you would come, we strictly do mortgages. We don't have our hand in anything else. So the process is going to be really smooth and seamless, and we're going to be able to try and get you the best rate out there.
That's great. And I mean, as an insurance broker, it's if you're in the personal line space, meaning you write home and auto, Ashley, like it's so important for an agent to have a relationship with a mortgage lender or a realtor, because the leads that you get from somebody like yourself, it's a warm lead, meaning there's already like a certain amount of trust that's built when that lead is sent over to you.
Right.
On top of that, I mean, the close ratio when like a referral partner sends me something is way higher than when it just comes from, an internet lead that I buy. You know what I mean? And not only is the trust super important, but also it just makes the process of purchasing a new home or refinancing so much more seamless. Would you agree with that, Stephen?
100%. I think Ashley and I can dive into that, but we have great success with especially first-time home buyers together as a team, because those are the folks that really want to understand the insurance side of things. And for insurance agent listening, I think it's important to know too, the reason you want to go after those mortgage brokers to have that relationship is because Ashley needs me to get her job done. Ashley needs the insurance binder. Yeah. She needs my part of the, my tool in the toolbox of the home buying process needs to be complete for Ashley to complete her job and move on to the next step. So, Ashley, why don't let's start off in kind of the beginning of what you're looking for with those relationships. Why if I'm listening to this right now, I'm like, man, that makes perfect sense, but I don't have any mortgage relationships, and I'm an insurance agent, right? Let's go back to 5 years when we first met. What do you want to hear as the mortgage broker?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you did for me that was so helpful is I didn't have to babysit that policy with Steven. I knew that when I gave it to him, he was going to have everything that I needed, and then I could still continue to do my job, which was huge. And I knew that he was going to explain it in a way to the borrower that they could understand. And then I knew that when it came down to trying to get the clear to close at the end, where we need to see that paid in full binder, that Steven was going to get it right over to me. I mean, there's some companies that it's extremely hard. I mean, it could go on 4 days that we're just waiting for the paid receipt to show that they can schedule closing, and that's the only thing we're waiting on, which is out of my control. So when I saw how quickly and how seamless Steven did things, I was sold. And then we just kind of built our relationship from there. Now, fast forward 5 years, we've created a system that's very smooth, and I do a welcome letter after all of my applicants make formal application. And right in that welcome letter is, if you're looking for insurance, this is the person to talk to, and this is our mortgagee clause. So they have every piece that they need to start talking to Steven and getting that together right on the front side, right in the beginning, so that when we're ready to close, we are well past insurance and we're not waiting for anything. And then Steven usually refreshes and gets me the paid receipt, and nothing is ever held up when it's with Steven Turnbull at T5. I never have to worry about that.
That's great. Yeah. And I think what's important that you said there is some agents, might ask, hey, if I'm going to cold call or just like reach out to a lender and try to build a new relationship, and I've never met them before, like what's a good way to do that? Notice you didn't say, hey, Steven gives the best rates for homeowners policies. You said that you trust Steven and that he makes your job easier. And that really is the most important thing, because now you win because you get to close more deals, and Steven wins because he gets to close a deal, and the insured, the customer wins because now they have a new house and a person they trust. It's a win across the board. So I think that's just an important thing to point out.
You're 110% correct. That minute and a half that Ashley was just speaking right there is everything. We can end the podcast right now. That's it. That's it all. What did she say there? You're right. She didn't say it gives the cheapest price, but she said speed, communication, education to the client. Because most of the time, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, just from on our how good our relationship is, most of the time that you say, well, we need the insurance. Well, where do I get that, or how do I do that, or whatever. So to be able, I think the point I'm trying to say here is to the insurance agents listening to this, treat those referral partners like your clients, if not better. Sit down. If I'm going to walk into Ashley's office right now and Ashley does not know who Steven Turnbull is, sit down and say, here's what I provide. I'd love an opportunity to show you how I provide, and here's how we do it differently. And to your point, being adaptable, whatever. In New York, we all know, the three of us on this call, buying a house is unlike any other state, probably California, I'm not sure, but it's just a process, and the dates can change, and being able to be adaptable. So, all in all, I think it's important. Actually, you agree with me or disagree with me, or tell me where you think I differ here, but to be able to treat you as a referral partner just like a client and say, here's our process, here's how we work, here's how we can help you, is what you're looking to hear when it comes to building those referral relationships. Yeah, absolutely. And then another big thing for me with Steven is I'm an expert in financing a mortgage. I know nothing about insurance. So obviously when you're working with borrowers, they have a million questions. So it's easy for me to say, I'm not an expert in insurance, but I have someone that's local that does, and he will answer any question that you have. And sometimes they'll say, well, I have my car insurance through this company. Should I just call them? And I'll say, you know what? If you do, why don't you call Steven and have him review it? He might be able to tell you whether or not that's the best policy out there for you. Because before I met Steven, I owned multiple other properties, and I had no idea what insurance I had. I had no idea what my coverage was. It just wasn't anything that was gone over with me that made me even it was like, there's your deductible. This is your annual amount. Is that good? Yep. Okay. I didn't really know what I was getting. So it's great that I can send them to Steven and he can walk them through it, and I don't have to worry about it. The other thing that drives me nuts is some companies that email me things, and then I have to
enter in and go into their website and then start plugging in information. And it's like, that's not my job. I want to get as many, applications in as possible. Holding me up to try and input all of the information for an insurance group is not something that I want to be doing. So it's, like I said, Stephen just makes it easy, seamless, and saves me time so that I can actually do what I'm trained and an expert in.
Yeah, that's great. Ashley, what would you say to an insured, or where do you think would be a good place for an insurance agent to look to build relationships with lenders? Like, is there a specific networking thing you think would be a good idea, or?
Yeah,
I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so Stephen and I actually met in a networking group here in upstate New York called BNI. That's where we connected, and that's where we actually get to really know Stephen, was through our networking group and doing events together. So that was the kind of the foundation to our relationship. So that was a good piece that we had and we were able to utilize.
Well, Shawn, let me turn this on you. If you want to go after, look at the little smirk, he's nervous. Anybody watch on YouTube? Oh my God, what is Stephen about to say? It's not that bad, trust me. If you want to go after auto garages, where do you go to get them?
My BNI group.
But specifically, if you want to specifically go after auto garages, you're going to look up all the ones in your area.
Yeah, go to Google Auto Garage in Melville.
You're going to show up. You're going to do marketing drops. You're going to follow them on social media. You're going to do whatever.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's the same. You know what I mean? Like, let's not overcomplicate this. And just like, and the process that I've always lived by, and it's not right or wrong, is like not the hard. Actually, this is who I am, and this is why you need to use Stephen Turnbull at T5 Insurance. This is how we do it, and I'd love to help you and show you how we do it. If we can ever be a help, I'm sure you may have somebody, but if you don't, or they're not available, or whatever it might be, and that's how I think get in the community or cold call the mortgage people or whatever. I think, Shawn, I just wanted to make that tie, how when you're looking at a specific niche, how do you get in front of them? It's the same thing.
I hear you. Yeah, and I think a good thing to bring up too is if you are speaking to a lender for the first time and it's more cold and you don't know them through a networking group, I think it's okay to take the softer approach of just saying, hey, I'm sure you're working with somebody now, and I'm sure that relationship is great. But if you ever need a plan B or they can't get something done for you, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help. Like, sometimes I like taking that softer approach, and I've had some success with that. So just wanted to drop that in there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because, Ashley, if an insurance agent walks into your office right now, regardless of our relationship, and they're hard-pressed to say, you have to use us because we're the best that is in this county, we're the best in this state or whatever, and here's why. Give us a call, send us all your business. Thanks, nice to meet you. Walks out versus walks in, here's some nice pens, whatever it is, and, if I can ever help you out, let me know. Which one are you opt to go with, and why do you feel that way? I'm curious about that.
I like the less aggressive approach, and I'm more of a relationship person. So I think, that, again, not, that's kind of what Stephen and I had. It was more like coffee, like, how's your day going? And then we would start talking about, how can I give you referrals? What's the best way to refer people to you? And it just kind of grew from there. And it just started more softer and not in your face. Like I said, like coffee, or I don't know, you would just stop by the office to say hi, or, just something like that. So they didn't feel like you were being salesy.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes is, and I was guilty of this when I first started, is you get excited, you walk into a place and you're kind of just like, hey, this is what I do, this is why I'm the best at it, this is why you should use me. But the approaches should really be the softer, less aggressive approach. On top of that, it should be, how can I help you? What are you having an issue with? Trying to figure out what that problem is so you can solve it, if that makes sense.
Which is, again, how we talk about treating the clients, right?
Yep.
Being that trusted advisor, to say, Ashley, when you do that marketing drop and walk in her office, to say, hey, this is who I am, let me know. While this is kind of an episode of diving deep into the relationship between Ashley and I from a referral standpoint, I want to touch on this too, about not overthinking it. There's no benefit, really, besides there's no benefit to Ashley besides knowing that things are getting done by sending clients to me. First off, New York State is, again, unlike any other state. There's no way for me to pay her a certain referral fee without being fined and different things. Now, with that being said, T5 does have a referral program. Actually, I got about 8 coffee gift cards I have to give you, but every referral that we get in, no matter who it is, Ashley or Mary Jane's, that just our client, gets a $5 gift card as a thank you and is put into drawings for everything else. What I'm trying to say here is there's no real financial benefit to Ashley besides making sure that the clients are taken care of and getting her job done. So don't go in there, whether you're in a state and you're listening and you're in a state where you could pay them $100 a referral, whatever that is based on your state laws. Don't go in there overcomplicating it. You know, you get a handwritten letter or whatever. I think that can go a long way. And at the end of the day, to which Ashley has already commented on, all she's worried about is getting her job done and making sure the clients are taken care of, and that she doesn't have to log into those online portals and all those things. Would you agree with that, Ashley?
Yeah, absolutely.
Shawn, you had something to say there.
No, I just, I'm getting excited because I want to talk about interest rates.
Oh, jeez.
I know the fun topic lenders love to talk about, but I wanted to dive a little bit into that if you're okay with it. But yeah. I know every state's a little bit different in the sense that the market's different, a little different everywhere. But I did read mortgages are at a 28-year low. New mortgages are at a 28-year low currently. And I think that probably has something to do with everyone refinancing, in 2020 when the rates were like, 2.1% or whatever they were. So I'm just curious, like, what are you seeing now in the sense of kind of like where are the rates at? Where do you think they're going?
Yeah.
What's kind of your thoughts on that?
So whenever someone asks me, I'm like, look up the projection of the 30-year mortgage and what rates were over 30 years. You're going to see right there where the trends are. The last couple of years was something that we've never seen in history that low. This is where they normally always were. High sixes, 5s, high 4s. Those are where they normally are. I joke because my grandparents sold their house now it's been like 2 years, but I found their old mortgage paperwork. And when they got their house in 89, it was a new construction loan. Their rate was 17%. And people are complaining.
Which was probably great.
7%. So I'm like, no, this is if you actually look at the research, we haven't been that high in a very long time, thank God, but this is normal. These 5s, 6s, 7s, that's how they normally are trending. So I just think we're getting back to some normalcy.
Yeah, it puts you in a weird spot because I bought a couple of years before 2020, and then I refinanced in 2020. And now I'm kind of like, I'm having a second kid on the way, and I'm like, I could use a little bit more space, but I don't want to sell this house.
9% looks good.
I know. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I'll just stay here for a few more years. So.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people doing additions. Yeah, doing an addition or a construction loan to build onto their properties so that they don't lose that interest rate. But what we always say is marry the house, not the rate. The rates are going to fluctuate. They're staying in 2 years. They're going to come back a little bit down. We have a great program right now where we're doing buy now, refinance later. So anyone that buys now and closes before April 30th, they can refinance without origination costs up until April of 2025. So if those dip, then we can refinance all of those and save them some money on closing costs. So I just think everyone that's buying now then will have a spike in refinances once the rates drop a little bit.
I want to marry these two things here because our industries are similar but different, right? There's actually a lot of people that listen to this show are either new agency owners or producers of independent agencies mainly, maybe some captives, meaning that they represent one company, whatever. One of the things I want to chat about in the similarities and see how you handle it is there's a big push right now in our space about being that trusted advisor versus just pushing a transaction. And, you know, you're in my BNI group. You hear me talk about it every single week. I push my motto of understand, educate, and protect. We take time to understand so we can educate you and protect you. We're not just running a transaction through and throwing a binder to Ashley as fast as possible. We're going to make you explain or make you understand what you're buying and your options. With that being said, there's still the price shoppers that call Shawn and I and just, you know, or any insurance agent and, hey, I'm Progressive $6.99. What can you do? Whatever. And, you know, my point is you see that in your industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the rates and all of that. What would you say is some things that you do to provide value with so much, I don't know if uncertainty is the word, but, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. When I come to you and say, hey, Michaela and I are buying a house, the rate could be different at that time versus when we find it, correct?
Right.
You know, so there's not really a certainty of what that rate's going to be. My point is, I'll land my plane here, is that you do a very, very good job at building that relationship. What Shawn and I are trying to do with our businesses, right? Building that relationship. So no matter if the rate is 5.5% at the people down the road, but Ashley has 6, I'm going to go with Ashley because I know she's going to do X, Y, and Z and take care of us and whatever. You know, talk about what you do as a business there to provide the value and maybe walk your clients through that. That could provide some value here to the insurance people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing too is I'm truthful. So if someone comes in and they're shopping and they already worked with, you know, someone down the street, I'm going to be honest. If I can't beat their rate, I'm going to tell them I can't beat their rate, and I'm going to tell them why. But then I'm also going to say, you know, for a quarter of a point higher, we are only dealing with mortgages. You have me, and I can get this deal done quickly and efficiently. If that's a benefit to you, you know, I would love to work with you. If not, I completely understand. And I'm not trying to hide anything, so they know that if they're going to come to me and I can't do something, I'm going to just let them know, because I might lose that deal, but I also might gain 2 more from that. And someone saying, you know what, Ashley will tell you the truth. Why don't you go talk to her? And Steven's had this happen too. We've talked about this in BNI multiple times where, you know, he's looked at a policy and he's just like, no, let's revisit this, you know, when your policy renews and see if I can do something then. But right now it doesn't make sense. I think that goes a lot farther than trying to win every deal or, you know, beat out the competition every time.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. I mean, just doing the right thing, right? We've spoke about that on a few episodes. I mean, I think I might have told this story once. My biggest client came from an account that I sat down with him, told him what he had was great, but he should probably switch this, this, and this, but stay with his guy. And, you know, I'll see him next year. He winded up referring me to a tow truck account, which is my biggest client. And he didn't refer him to his current agent. So I think if you just do the right thing, you're going to get a lot more business from that. Also, too, just on Steven's point before, I think setting the expectation is super, super important. So when he was talking about, Ashley, like, you know, the rate today might be 6.3, right, but by the time you close, it might be 7. Who knows? But if you can do a good job of setting the expectation, that is everything. I mean, you could set the expectation with every part of the process. Absolutely. So for us, it could be something as simple as, hey, thank you. I gathered all your information. Now what I'm going to do is put that information onto an application, send it out to my carriers. I should have a quote back for you within the next 24 hours. Once I have the quote back, I'll give you a call, setting the expectation every step of the way. And then the same thing when you write the policy. That's it.
Absolutely.
Set the expectation.
And that ties right back into the relationship with your referral partners.
Yep.
Hey, Ashley, listen, I can't do anything with this one you sent over for Mr. and Mrs. Smith because there's a hole in the roof. Or, I can't do anything with this because they've got the best one with State Farm, and I'm going up against that, and here's why I can't. But I just want to take the time to explain it to you, and you, the client, too. Here's the differences or whatever. Taking the time, to your point, Shawn, with that biggest account that you got, if you were just to go back and say, sorry, call us next year, I got nothing, that relationship probably wouldn't ever have happened. That would have turned into your biggest account. So I mean, man, setting expectations a perfect thing. Well, look, I think we dove into this a lot. Ashley, thank you very much for taking the time.
Yeah,
let's kind of wrap this up with just resettling everything here. If there's if there's an agent listening to this, maybe they just started an agency, maybe they just started becoming a producer, and they're thinking like, man, I got to get in the referral partner game. I got to go out there and make those relationships. We obviously just talked about a lot here in the last half hour or so, but what is one piece of advice you'd get them in doing so? What is one thing that you would pull out of this conversation and say, focus on this? Yes.
Okay, I would say, just to be open, honest, and stick with it, because Stephen and I didn't build this overnight. This has been a 5-year relationship. The first year, I don't know, we could have probably done a handful of deals. We were not doing what we're doing today. That's for sure. And he always just stuck with me, and everything that I gave him was very appreciative, not like, how come I don't have everything? So I think it's the long game, not trying to get anything immediate.
And keeping that relationship going, because I think it's worth noting over the last 5 years, there was a period for maybe about 6 months or to maybe longer that you were out of mortgages altogether.
Yeah.
You tried have a different career path and then ended up coming back. But once you got back, we just picked right up where we left and took care of clients going forward. I would suggest, the last thing, and I know I've been rambling a lot here, Shawn, so I'll shut up, but one thing that we have very well too with Ashley is a power team in BNI too, with a real estate agent, a home inspector, a real estate attorney, and a title insurance company. We call ourselves the power team. There's 6 of us. And if we get one client in our ecosystem, that deal is going to close without any problems. That deal is going to go very smooth for that client. And maybe even if there's only 4 out of the 6 of us that deal with that for whatever reason, right? Don't just limit this to a mortgage broker. Don't just limit it to a mortgage officer. Look at those real estate. I believe, and Shawn, I'd be curious on your thoughts on this before we wrap up. I believe the mortgage broker is the strongest relationship because, again, like I said, Ashley needs me to get her job done, right? But there's still the opportunities where the real estate agent's going to say, you're going to be told, I need an insurance guy, or the home inspector could overhear something, or the real estate attorney needs the binder as well to see it's paid in full. So, don't limit this, or, look at what are those referral relationships that you can continue to, keep getting stronger and stronger and just attack them like a new client. Shawn, what's your thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I totally agree. I mean, you have to think a little outside the box. Maybe you don't specialize in personal lines insurance and you specialize with commercial. You should think about who some referral partners could be for, let's say you write a lot of contractors. Maybe you should start going after accountants that do a lot of tax work for contractors. I mean, the list can go on. The list can go on and on. Credit card processors are a great one. For any type of business, really. Think about restaurants and things of that nature. So, I mean, you could really get in depth with that. But yeah, I agree with Stephen. Don't just think of lenders. Think a little outside the box. And if your niche is on the commercial space, there's many different ways you can go with that.
Comes right back down to relationships, doesn't it? Just like Mike Richardson said in the last episode, it's all about relationships and doing the right thing. Ashley, thank you very much for joining us again. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, you can do more than just New York State, or no?
No, just New York State right now.
Okay, but what would be good information for somebody to get in touch with you? Maybe they just wanted to pick your brain about a referral relationship they're looking to go after, or maybe they just had a mortgage question. Maybe they're in New York and need a mortgage, because Ashley is fantastic. I may be a little biased, but I would definitely give her a call just to even pick your brain on mortgages, referral relationships, or whatever. So what would be the best way for somebody to get in touch with you, Ashley?
Text, call, email,
Why don't you give them your email?
My email is my last name, Paolozzi @premiummortgage.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. That's another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. Most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and own your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.